The blue-white light of the alien ship cast strange shadows across the United Nations Plaza. Sergeant Jack Murphy squinted up at the massive vessel hovering silently above New York City. After 20 years in the Marines, he thought nothing could surprise him anymore. He was wrong. It had been 3 weeks since the Galactic Confederation made first contact with Earth. The world had exploded into chaos at first, then settled into an uneasy mixture of fear and hope. Now, Jack stood among the carefully selected representatives of humanity, waiting to board a shuttle that would take them to meet their new galactic neighbors. Nervous? Asked Dr. Linda Hayes, the physicist standing beside him. Jack shrugged. Just another mission. Linda laughed. Right, just a normal Tuesday meeting aliens. A tall, slender figure with iridescent blue skin approached them. Ambassador Exceltor of the Confederation gestured toward the waiting shuttle with 3 of his 4 arms. Honored humans, we welcome you to this historic occasion. The council awaits. Jack stepped forward with the others. He had been chosen not for his scientific knowledge or diplomatic skills, but because the Confederation had specifically requested military personnel. That fact alone made him uneasy. The shuttle ride was smooth and quick. Through the viewport, Jack watched Earth shrink to a blue marble, then disappear entirely as they entered the massive mothership. The technology around him was beyond anything humans had developed, yet the aliens treated it as commonplace. Ambassador Exceltor led them through curved hallways into a vast chamber where representatives of at least 20 different species sat in tiered seating. Some looked almost human. Others resembled nothing Jack had ever seen before. The human delegation, announced Exceltor. A being with crystalline features and no visible mouth spoke, its words somehow translating directly into Jack's mind. We have observed your species for decades. Your advancement is unusual. Jack noticed several aliens shifting uncomfortably in their seats. Unusual how? Asked President Garcia. Most species reaching space travel have unified their planet for centuries. You remain divided, yet collaborate enough to achieve remarkable technological progress despite numerous wars. Another alien, reptilian with feathered crests, leaned forward. Your military history particularly interests us. Sergeant Murphy, you have combat experience. Jack stood straighter. Yes, 3 tours in the resource wars. The chamber filled with a strange chittering sound that the translator didn't convert. Jack realized it was surprise or possibly concern. And you personally engaged in combat? With lethal force? Asked the reptilian. That's what soldiers do, Jack replied, confused by the question. More chittering, the crystalline being raised an appendage. Fascinating. The Confederation extends an invitation to Earth as a probationary member. Additionally, we request that human military personnel join our academy on Nexus Prime. President Garcia looked surprised. May I ask why our military interests you so much? The reptilian alien's inner eyelids blinked rapidly. Let us say we believe humans may offer unique perspectives. After the delegation returned to Earth, Jack received his new orders. He and 3 other military personnel would represent humanity at the Confederation Military Academy. Their mission: cultural exchange and training integration. Pack light, his commander told him. You'll be gone for at least a year. 2 weeks later, Jack and his team, Lisa Bennett from Army Special Forces, Navy SEAL Sam Rodriguez, and Air Force pilot Pete Garvey, boarded the alien shuttle. Lisa looked at the small bag each of them carried. Think we'll need more gear? Jack shook his head. They said everything would be provided. I'm more concerned about what they're not telling us, Sam said quietly. Did you notice how they kept asking about our combat experience? Pete grinned. Maybe they think we're badasses. Or maybe they think we're savages, Lisa countered. As their shuttle approached the gigantic ring structure that served as the Confederation's military training center, Jack noticed other ships converging from different directions. Each carried cadets from various worlds. Remember, he told his team, we're guests here. We observe and learn. But as they docked and saw the other species for the first time, some towering with armored exoskeletons, others with multiple limbs or glowing bioluminescent features. Jack realized the truth. To these aliens, humans looked weak, fragile, insignificant. The dismissive looks from the alien cadets said it all. Humans were clearly expected to fail. Jack smiled to himself. They had no idea what was coming. Jack woke to the sound of a low-pitched hum. The lighting in the human quarters slowly brightened to simulate dawn. He had been at the Confederation Military Academy for 3 days now, and still couldn't get used to the 28-hour days on Nexus Prime. Rise and shine, people, he called to his team. Lysa was already up, doing push-ups on the metallic floor. Sam groaned and pulled his pillow over his head, while Pete stumbled toward the washing station. First day of actual training, Lisa said between breaths. Think they'll stop treating us like we're made of glass. During orientation, the Academy staff had insisted on giving humans special accommodations, lower gravity settings, warmer room temperatures, and even modified training gear. The other species clearly saw humans as fragile newcomers. Jack checked the schedule on his translator pad. Basic physical assessment today. Time to show them what we can do. They made their way to the main training dome, a massive structure that could simulate various environments. Hundreds of alien cadets had gathered, separated by species. Jack noticed at least 15 different types of beings, some with features that seemed impossible by Earth biology standards. The Krovolians, massive insectoid creatures with natural armor plating, towered over everyone. The serpentine Zithor moved with frightening speed. The four-armed Mariacs demonstrated remarkable coordination, casually juggling training orbs while waiting for instructions. Academy Commandant Drelixar, a tall blue-skinned being with silver patterns across his face, stepped onto the central platform. Cadets, welcome to your first day of training. As is tradition, we begin with physical assessment to determine appropriate placement. His gaze fell on the human group, and his expression shifted to something like concern. Our human guests will be provided with modified challenges suitable for their physiology. Jack stepped forward. Sir, with respect, we request standard treatment. A murmur went through the crowd. Drelixar's eyes widened. Sergeant Murphy, there is no shame in acknowledging biological differences. The standard assessment would place significant strain on human bodies. We understand, sir, Jack replied. We still request standard treatment. Pete leaned toward Jack and whispered, Are you trying to kill us? Jack ignored him. How can we integrate if we're treated differently? Drelixar seemed to consider this, then nodded slowly. As you wish, but my staff will monitor closely. The assessment began with endurance trials. Cadets ran a course with increasing gravity. Many species struggled as the gravity increased, but to Jack's surprise, humans performed in the middle of the pack. Their evolutionary history of running long distances served them well. Next came strength tests. Here, humans faltered against species with multiple limbs or dense musculature. The Krovolians lifted objects that would crush a human with ease. Not impressive, one Krovolian cadet chittered as Sam struggled with the weight. How did such weak creatures survive? The comment wasn't meant to be heard by humans, but the translators picked it up anyway. During the agility course, Lisa surprised everyone. While not the fastest, she moved with a fluid grace that allowed her to complete complex obstacles efficiently. The instructor, a lithe Zithar named Sis, watched her with growing interest. Your movements are unexpected, Sis told her afterward. Most species follow patterns dictated by their anatomy. The final test was pain endurance, a standard practice in Confederation training. Cadets placed their hands in a field that stimulated pain receptors without causing damage. The goal was to keep your hand inside as long as possible. Many species had high tolerances. The crystalline Polari felt almost nothing. The insectoid species withdrew quickly, their nervous systems highly sensitive. When Pete's turn came, he gritted his teeth and thrust his hand in. His face reddened, sweat beaded on his forehead, but he didn't move. 2 minutes passed. 3, 4. The room grew quiet. Even some instructors were watching now. Enough, Drelixar finally said. You've made your point, human. Pete withdrew his hand, shaking it casually. That wasn't so bad. Reminds me of grabbing hot engine parts during emergency repairs. Later, in their quarters, the team compared notes. They're watching us differently now, Lisa said. Did you notice? Jack nodded. They expected us to fail. Sam examined the training schedule for the next day. Combat simulations start in 3 months. That's when they'll really see what humans can do. Outside their quarters, Instructor Krelnav reviewed the day's results with growing concern. These humans, he told Commandant Drelixar, there's something unusual about them. How so? The Commandant asked. They're not just enduring. They're adapting. And that look in their eyes during the pain test. What look? Krelnav hesitated. I'm not sure, but I've only seen it once before, in the eyes of a cornered predator. 3 months passed quickly at the academy. Jack and his team had settled into a routine. They woke early, trained hard, and studied Confederation tactics each night. The other species had stopped openly mocking the humans, but still kept their distance. Today was different. Today was the first combat simulation. Listen up, Jack told his team as they geared up. This is what we've been waiting for. Lisa checked her training weapon, a device that fired energy pulses that caused brief pain but no real damage. Rules of engagement. Standard Confederation protocol, Jack said. They fight clean. No sneak attacks, no targeting vulnerable areas, and they announce their presence before engaging. Sam grinned, so nothing like actual combat. Pete adjusted his uniform. What's our play, Sarge? Jack leaned in closer. We do what humans do best. We adapt. The simulation arena was a massive chamber that could create various terrains. Today, it had generated a rocky landscape with sparse vegetation and deep shadows, perfect for what Jack had in mind. Commandant Drelixar's voice came over the speakers. Today's exercise. Team elimination. Last group with members active wins. Begin in 30 seconds. The humans huddled together one last time. Remember, Jack said, they expect a fair fight. They won't be ready for Earth tactics. When the signal sounded, the other teams charged forward along predictable routes. The Kravolians moved in tight formation, using their natural armor as shields. The agile Zithor slithered up high points to gain vantage. The Myriacs spread out in textbook search patterns. The humans did none of these things. Instead, they split up. Sam belly crawled through the dirt, coating himself to blend with the terrain. Lisa found a narrow crevice and wedged herself inside, nearly invisible. Pete scaled a rock formation and lay flat on top. Jack crouched behind a boulder and waited. A group of Myriacs cadets moved past Jack's position, scanning methodically but never looking quite in the right places. Humans had evolved as ambush predators, and Jack was putting those instincts to use. When the last Myriacs passed, Jack struck. He moved silently, firing 3 quick shots into their backs before they could turn. 2 dropped immediately, stunned by the unexpected attack. The third spun around, eyes wide with shock. You did not announce your presence. The Myriacs protested. Jack fired again, dropping the cadet. Surprise! Across the arena, Sam was creating chaos among the Zithar. He had fashioned crude traps using his belt and parts of the terrain. When a Zithar slithered into one, it triggered a small avalanche of rocks, forcing them into the open where Sam picked them off easily. Lisa used sound to her advantage. She tossed small rocks in different directions, confusing a squad of Polari who followed the noises straight into her line of fire. Pete, from his elevated position, coordinated their movements using hand signals they had practiced. The instructors watched in growing alarm. What are they doing? Krelnav asked. This isn't proper combat procedure. Another instructor, a veteran Kravolian named Grath, shook his armored head. No, it's not. It's effective. One by one, the alien teams fell to the humans' unorthodox tactics. The few who spotted the humans were shocked by their willingness to endure hits to secure kills. During one exchange, Sam took 3 painful shots to his chest, but kept advancing, firing until he had eliminated an entire Kravolian squad. "Why didn't you retreat when hit?" a bewildered Kravolian asked afterward. Sam shrugged. "Pain is temporary. Victory is forever." By the end of the simulation, only the human team remained active. The victory screens flashed their names, but the usual cheers from other cadets were absent. Instead, a heavy silence filled the arena as the other species stared at the humans with new eyes. In the observation room, Krelnav turned to Drelixar. "They fight like nothing I've ever seen. No honor protocols, no challenge rituals. Is that concern I hear, Instructor?" Drelixar asked. "These humans," Krelnav hesitated. "I believe we've misunderstood them fundamentally. I need to speak with Sergeant Murphy privately." "About what?" Krelnav watched as Jack gathered his team, their faces showing no celebration, only calm satisfaction. The look of predators after a successful hunt. About what his species truly is. Jack entered Instructor Krelnav's office with a sense of caution. The room was sparse, with only a few objects that might be considered decorative. Crystalline structures that emitted soft light, and a display showing various star systems. "You wanted to see me, sir." Jack stood at attention, a habit from his years in the Marines. Krelnav gestured to a seat. "Please, Sergeant Murphy. This is not a formal reprimand." Jack sat, noticing that the chair had been adjusted for human physiology. "Is there a problem with our performance?" "Problem." Krelnav's inner eyelids flickered. An expression Jack had learned indicated strong emotion. "That is one way to describe it. Your combat tactics today were disturbing to many. We followed all safety protocols. No one was injured beyond the parameters." "Yes, but the way you fought." Krelnav paused, searching for words. "Let me explain something about the Confederation. Most member species evolved without significant predators on their homeworlds." Jack frowned. "I don't understand." "Your species evolved on a planet filled with predators. You were both prey and predator yourselves. This shaped you in ways we are only beginning to understand." Krelnav activated a holographic display showing various Confederation species and their home planets. The Mariacs evolved on a world with mild climate and abundant resources. They developed cooperation rather than competition. The Zithar faced environmental challenges, but few biological threats. Even the Kravolians, with all their armor, evolved those features to survive extreme weather, not to fight. "And humans?" Jack asked. "Humans evolved on a death world." Krelnav's voice was quiet now. "Earth has more apex predators than any Confederation world. Your species survived by becoming the most dangerous predator of all." Jack thought about this. "But many of us are vegetarians. We're omnivores by nature. That's why we misclassified you," Krelnav admitted. "Your dietary flexibility and physical appearance suggested a primarily herbivore species. We were wrong." The Instructor touched another control, and images of human history appeared. Soldiers in battle, from ancient times to modern conflicts. "Your warfare is not like ours. Confederation conflicts are largely ritualistic, with minimal casualties and strict rules of engagement. But humans." Krelnav zoomed in on various weapons. "You continuously develop tools specifically to kill your own kind. Do you know how rare that is in the galaxy?" Jack had never considered this. "We call it the arms race. Every advance in defense leads to advances in offense. In the last simulation, your team could have won by following standard tactics. Instead, you chose ambush, deception, and endurance through pain. You showed no hesitation to inflict maximum damage." "We did what was effective," Jack said simply. "That's what concerns us. Your species sees victory as the goal, not the process. And you're willing to endure incredible hardship to achieve it. Krell Nav studied Jack's face. Your teammate Sam, he took multiple direct hits but continued fighting. Why? Jack shrugged. We're trained to fight through pain. No species does this naturally. Pain exists to prevent further damage. Humans override that instinct. We call it fight or flight. Sometimes fighting, even when injured, is the only way to survive. Krell Nav was silent for a long moment. The Confederation believed we were bringing in a new student species. I now believe we have invited in something very different. Are we being removed from the program? Jack asked. Removed. Krell Nav made a sound that Jack's translator didn't catch. Quite the opposite. The Academy Command is reviewing your combat footage with great interest. You're not students, Sergeant Murphy. You're apex predators who have disguised yourselves as prey. Jack started to object, then stopped. From the alien perspective, perhaps that was exactly what humans were. Word is spreading through the Academy. Krell Nav continued. The other species have a new name for humans now. They call you Deathworlders. Is that good or bad? Both, Krell Nav replied. They fear you. But in a dangerous galaxy, fear can be useful. As Jack left the office, he noticed the other cadets in the hallway moved aside, giving him more space than before. Their eyes followed him with a new emotion, respect mixed with caution, the way one would regard a predator whose capabilities were just discovered. Jack smiled to himself. The real lessons were just beginning. The emergency sirens woke Jack from a deep sleep. Red lights flashed in the human quarters, and a computerized voice repeated a message in multiple languages. Alert! Perimeter breach. All cadets proceed to secure locations. Jack was on his feet instantly. Everyone up. Move. Lisa, Sam, and Pete grabbed their gear with practiced efficiency. They had been at the academy for 6 months now, and emergency drills were common. But this didn't feel like a drill. The hallways filled with cadets rushing toward the designated safe zones. A Myriax instructor spotted the humans and hurried over. Sergeant Murphy, all cadets must evacuate to bunker level 3. What's happening? Jack asked. Mrekti raiders. The instructor's forearms gestured nervously. They breached the outer defense grid. Security forces are responding, but all non-combat personnel must evacuate. The Mrekti were not part of the Confederation. They were aggressive expansionists with technology nearly equal to the Confederation's. Jack had studied them in tactical classes. As they followed the evacuation route, a massive explosion shook the building. Part of the ceiling collapsed ahead, blocking the path to the bunkers. Dust filled the air, and cries for help came from beneath the rubble. There are cadets trapped. Lisa pointed to a small gap in the debris. The Myriax instructor urged them forward. We must continue to the alternate route. Rescue teams will handle this. Jack exchanged looks with his team. Without a word, they understood each other. You go ahead, Jack told the instructor. We'll help here. That is against protocol. You have no combat authorization. Then court-martial us later, Sam said, already moving toward the collapsed section. The humans worked quickly, shifting debris and pulling injured cadets from the rubble. They had rescued 5 aliens when the wall at the end of the corridor exploded inward. 3 Mrekti warriors stepped through the breach. They were tall, muscular beings with gray skin and bony ridges. Each carried an energy weapon that made the training versions look like toys. Cadets, one growled through a translator. Easy targets. Jack pushed the injured aliens behind him and faced the Mrekti. He had no weapons, but he did have something most Confederation species lacked: combat instinct. Pete, Lisa, get them out through the service tunnel, Jack said quietly. Sam, with me. The Mrekti leader laughed. Humans, the Confederation must be desperate to recruit such fragile species. Jack's eyes darted around, assessing the environment. A broken pipe leaked coolant fluid onto the floor. Exposed wiring sparked near the ceiling. Perfect. You know what humans are? Jack asked, stepping forward to keep the Mrekti's attention. "We're problem solvers." He suddenly kicked the coolant fluid toward the raiders. Sam, understanding immediately, grabbed a piece of metal and struck the exposed wiring. Sparks showered down, igniting the flammable fluid in a wall of flame that separated them from the Mrekti. In the confusion, Jack rushed forward, ducking under a wild shot. He slammed into the first raider with his shoulder, using the alien's greater height against it. As it stumbled, Jack grabbed its weapon and fired point-blank. Sam tackled the second Mrekti, showing the same disregard for personal safety he'd demonstrated in training. Though the alien was stronger, Sam fought with a ferocity that shocked it. The third raider aimed at Sam's back. Lisa, who had returned after getting the injured to safety, threw a piece of debris with perfect accuracy, striking the Mrekti's head. Pete followed with a flying tackle that would have made his old football coach proud. When it was over, 3 Mrekti warriors lay unconscious or dead. The humans stood breathing heavily, injured but alive. More Mrekti poured through breaches throughout the academy, but they found something unexpected at every turn. Humans defending positions they should have abandoned, using improvised weapons, and fighting with shocking violence. Word spread among the raiders: avoid the areas with humans. By the time Confederation security forces contained the attack, the Mrekti had suffered heavy casualties in what should have been a simple raid. Many of those casualties came from encounters with just 4 humans who refused to retreat. In the command center, Commandant Drelixar reviewed the security footage with wide eyes. "How many did the humans eliminate?" he asked. Krelnav checked the data. 11 confirmed. 7 more injured severely. "They're not even fully trained soldiers by their standards," Drelixar said in disbelief. "No," Krelnav agreed. "They're just humans." Jack stood at attention in the Academy Command Center. The room was filled with senior officers from various species, all staring at him with expressions his translator couldn't quite interpret. On the large display behind them, footage from the Mrekti attack played on a loop. 11 confirmed enemy combatants neutralized, said Commandant Drelixar, his voice carefully neutral. 7 more severely injured. Property damage extensive. Improvised weapons used in 6 different instances. The room was silent. Jack kept his eyes forward, unsure if he was being commended or condemned. In 300 years of Academy history, Drelixar continued, no cadet has ever engaged in lethal combat on these grounds. It is forbidden. We were defending ourselves and others. Sir, Jack said. The Mrekti gave us no choice. A Kravolian officer leaned forward. That is not in question, Sergeant Murphy. What concerns us is the efficiency with which you did so. Krelnav touched a control, and the display showed Sam grappling with a Mrekti twice his size. Despite a deep wound in his side, Sam fought on, eventually breaking the raider's neck with a technique not taught at the academy. Your team member continued fighting despite injuries that would incapacitate most species, Krelnav said. When asked about this afterward, he said, and I quote, added 3 more to my kill count. The phrase sent a visible ripple through the assembled officers. Explain this concept of a kill count, Drelixar requested. Jack chose his words carefully. In Earth military history, soldiers sometimes track their combat effectiveness by counting confirmed enemy casualties. You mean you count how many sentient beings you've killed? A Mariax officer's forehands twitched in apparent distress. Some do, yes. It's not official policy anymore, but the concept exists. Another image appeared on screen. Lisa using a broken pike to defend a group of injured cadets, her face set in what humans would recognize as grim determination, but what might appear as savage rage to alien eyes. We have reviewed your species' military history more thoroughly since your arrival, Drelixar said. Your world has never gone more than 30 years without a significant armed conflict. Most Confederation species achieved peace thousands of years before reaching space. We're still working on that part, Jack admitted. Your capacity for violence is, Krelnav paused, both disturbing and, we must acknowledge, potentially valuable. The officers conferred quietly, their translators switched off. Jack waited, wondering if this was the end of the human experiment at the Academy. Finally, Drelixar turned back to him. The Confederation faces threats like the Mrekti on multiple fronts. Our traditional combat methods are proving insufficient. We can help with that, Jack said. Yes, Drelixar agreed. I believe you can. He stood straighter. Sergeant Murphy, the Academy Command has made a decision. Effective immediately, you and your team are reclassified from cadet status to combat tactics instructors. Jack blinked in surprise. Sir, your primary duty will be to train selected cadets in human combat methodologies. Focus on survival tactics against superior forces and what you call asymmetric warfare. A new image appeared on the display, a formal Academy insignia, but with a modified design Jack hadn't seen before. This will designate the new Advanced Combat Division, Drelixar explained. You will have significant latitude in training methods, though safety protocols must still be observed. And our previous instructor, Krelnav? Jack asked. I will be your liaison, Krelnav said. And your student. We all have much to learn from Deathworlders. As Jack left the command center, he found his team waiting. They stood a little apart from the other species, who gave them a wide berth in the hallway. So, Lisa asked, are we being shipped back to Earth? Jack smiled. Just the opposite. We're being promoted to instructors. They want us to teach them how to fight like humans. Pete looked skeptical. No, Jack said. They want us to teach them how to survive like humans. There's a difference. Sam gestured to the aliens watching them from a distance. They're afraid of us now. Good, Jack replied. Fear is a useful teacher, and they need to learn what the Mrekti already know. Humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy when cornered. Jack looked at the new insignia he'd been given. The symbol contained an unfamiliar geometric pattern with a small Earth in the center. What's it say in their language? Lisa asked. Jack checked his translator. It says, kill count instructors. The humans exchanged glances, then smiled. The real training was about to begin. 5 years had passed since the Mrekti attack on the Academy. Colonel Jack Murphy, as he was now known in both human and Confederation ranks, stood at the observation window overlooking the main training arena. Below, human instructors ran cadets from a dozen different species through combat exercises that would have been unthinkable before. Impressive progress, said Krelnav, who had become both colleague and friend. Your methods have spread to every Confederation military installation. Jack nodded. After the success of the initial human training program, the Confederation had requested more instructors from Earth. There were now over 200 humans serving throughout Confederation space, all teaching the art of survival and combat to species that had never needed such skills before. The Deathworld Combat Division has 73 training centers now, Jack said. Earth just approved another 100 instructors for next year. On the training floor, Lisa Bennett was teaching a group of Zithor how to create camouflage from natural materials. Skill humans had perfected over thousands of years of hunting. Nearby, Sam Rodriguez demonstrated knife techniques to fascinated Kravolians, who despite their natural armor had never developed blade fighting skills. The Galactic Senate meets tomorrow to discuss the human question again, Krelnav said. Let them talk, Jack replied. The results speak for themselves. The results were indeed remarkable. Confederation casualties in border conflicts had decreased by 70% since implementing human combat doctrine. The emphasis on adaptability, improvisation, and psychological warfare had transformed their approach to defense. A young cadet approached and saluted both officers. Colonel Murphy, the new Earth delegation has arrived. Thank you. Have them meet me in briefing room 3. As they walked, Krelnav shared the latest intelligence. The Mrekti have been unusually quiet along the Orion border. Our analysts believe they're planning something. They're always planning something, Jack said. The difference is now we're ready for them. In the briefing room, Jack found Pete Garvey waiting with 6 newly arrived human instructors. Pete now served as the liaison between Earth and the Confederation Military Command. "Jack, good to see you," Pete grinned, clasping Jack's hand firmly. "Brought you some fresh meat from the course." The new instructors stood at attention, eyeing Jack with a mixture of respect and curiosity. To them, he was already a legend, the first kill count instructor. At ease, Jack told them, "You've all been briefed on our mission here." A young woman stepped forward. "Yes, sir. We're to continue the integration of human combat tactics into Confederation doctrine." "That's the official line," Jack agreed. "Unofficially, you're here to teach aliens how to think like predators when they need to." He gestured to the window, where the vast Confederation fleet could be seen orbiting the Academy. "They have the technology. What they lacked was the mindset." Later that day, alarms sounded throughout the Academy. The Mrekti battle group had been detected entering Confederation space, the largest ever assembled. All instructors were called to the command center. Admiral Drelixar, promoted from his academy position years ago, addressed the assembled officers. "The Mrekti force is headed for the Procyon colony. 18 ships, heavily armed." "Our response?" Jack asked. "The Fourth Fleet is moving to intercept, led by the new human-designed tactical cruisers." Drelixar displayed the battle plan. "And we're deploying this." A hologram showed a small ship with Earth markings. "What is that?" asked one of the new instructors. "That," said Jack with pride, "is the Confederation's first kill count." The small Earth vessel carried only 20 human Special Forces soldiers, but its presence in the fleet formation was enough. As soon as the Mrekti detected it, their entire battle group changed course and retreated back to their territory. Krelnav laughed at the confused looks from the new instructors. "They've learned to fear the Deathworlders. Sometimes the best victory is the one where no shots are fired." Later, alone in his quarters, Jack read the latest communication from Earth. The Confederation had formally recognized humanity as a full member, no longer on probationary status. Humans had been officially designated as a protector species, the first such classification in Confederation history. Jack's personal log entry that night was brief. 5 years ago, they thought humans were weak because we lacked natural armor, speed, or regeneration. They didn't understand that humans turned our greatest weakness, our vulnerability, into our greatest strength. We became dangerous precisely because we had to. The galaxy has finally learned what Earth's predators discovered long ago.